Today we are going to discuss about the fourth topic of the chapter, that is pollination. We already completed gametogenesis in previous classes. So let's start with pollination. Pollination is the process of transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of any flower. But depending upon whether pollination takes place in the same flower or different flower, we can classify them as self-pollination as well as cross-pollination. Self-pollination means transfer of pollen grains takes place from anther to stigma of same flower or different flower of the same plant. So here two terms are there, but in board examination the most important question comes from geitonogamy. What is geitonogamy? In geitonogamy, transfer of pollen grains takes place from anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower but of same plant. Let's suppose I am having this plant over here which is having two different branches. In one branch we will be having the male flowers with the anther, and another flower is there which is having stigma over here. So if transfer of pollen grains takes place from anther to stigma of different flower but of same plant, then this condition is termed as, or this process is termed as geitonogamy. In board examination, question comes on this like why geitonogamy is considered as morphologically cross-pollination but genetically self-pollination. As we can see the transfer of pollen grain from one flower to another, from staminate flower to pistillate flower. So it seems to be like cross-pollination is taking place. But these two flowers are belonging to the same plant, same parent. That means their genes are same. That's why it is termed as genetically self-pollination. Hope it is clear. We have to majorly focus on geitonogamy in process of pollination, where questions will come. Now come to autogamy. Autogamy is very easy topic. We all have studied this in class 6 also. So autogamy is simply the process of transfer of pollen grains in the same flower from the anther of one flower to the stigma of the flower of same plant. Sorry, same flower. So in process of autogamy, we are having two new terms over here. One is cleistogamy and second is cosmogamy. When we talk about cosmogamy, cosmogamy means mustard flower or well exposed flower. The flower which is well exposed, that is basically termed as cosmogamous flower, and the process of pollination in that well exposed flower is called as cosmogamy, as we can see in case of mustard. Let's move to next important topic, cleistogamy. One mark question comes on this. What is cleistogamy? Example of some cleistogamous flowers could be asked in the exam. So cleistogamous flowers are those flowers which never open. Then how the pollination takes place in those flowers? Let's have a look of this diagram. Suppose this is the bud condition. In the bud condition, as we all know, that stigma is present in the centermost position and anther is located in such a way in that closed bud that whenever pollen grains are falling, it will be falling on the stigma itself. That means even if flower is not opening, there is 100% assurance of self-pollination and seed set will be there. This we can see in case of pansy as well as in case of Commelina, as well as oxalis. So some of the examples we have to keep in mind for the board examination. And there is no agent required as such in case of self-pollination. That's why this term is given self. Means there is no need of any external agent. Pollination is 100% successful. And but one drawback is there that there may be inbreeding depression. Due to continuation of the same genes, there may be degradation in the quality of the seed set that will lead to inbreeding depression or reducing the hybrid vigor, reducing the quality of the seed if it continues for many generations. Now let's have the look on the cross pollination. When we discuss about cross pollination, Cross-pollination means the term we can use over here, xenogamy, means transfer of pollen grain takes place from the anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower of another plant, but of same species. Means if it's this is the pollen grain of the sunflower, then it must be reaching on the stigma of the sunflower flower only, then only pollination is possible. It's not possible that the pollen grain of China rose is reaching on the stigma of the rose plant and get pollinated. So species should be same, plants are different, flowers are different. Hope it is clear to you all. And as we know that there is a distance between the flower which is getting pollinated, there must be need of some pollinating agent which is called as agents for pollination. So depending upon condition, whether this pollination is taking place by the living organism or non-living environment, we have classified them as biotic agent and abiotic agent. Biotic agent we have to study in detail, that is by insect. There are many more you must have studied, by birds also, by snails also, by elephant also, but in NCERT for board examination we have to focus on only one type, that is entomophily. Means if pollination takes place by insects, remember in that way, ant means insect. So entomophily term is used for the insect pollination. Here students are making mistake. Sometimes for air pollination they are writing about entomophily, and for insect or animals they are writing anemophily. So be very careful. Insect means ant means entomophily. So here you have to remember in that way. It's not like only ants are doing it. I'm just giving you a way to memorize it. If pollination takes place by air, then it is called as anemophily. And obviously, if it is taking place by water, it is called as hydrophily. Let's see what qualities are required for the entomophilous flower. Again, a question is asked in the board. Define entomophily. So, entomophily is the process of pollination, process of cross-pollination by insects. But what is entomophilous flower? Explain its features. So when entomophilous term is used, that means they are asking about the type of flower, properties of the flowers or condition of the flowers which they need for entomophily. So here I have just given briefly a flowchart for the entomophilous character. Entomophilous flowers should be large, attractive and colorful, so that insect will come and travel over there for getting the nectar and the pollen grain. So it should have sufficient amount of nectar, as well as it should have good fragrance which will attract insects for pollination. Second, the property of pollen, very important over here, that pollen grain should be large in number and should be sticky. Why sticky? Because these pollen grains will stick on the wings and the feet of the insect when it is traveling from one flower to other, and accidentally they are doing pollination. Then third and most important thing is the stigma of the flower, which should be well exposed and sticky. Again, the same reason, so that it will be permitting the pollen grains to stick over there for the pollination. But again, I have to repeat the same thing, that for pollination, pollen grain of the same species should reach to the stigma. So suppose insect is traveling and bringing lot of pollen grains over there, but only the pollen grain which is belonging to the same species will be showing the germination and pollen pistil interaction after this. Here, next proceed to anemophily. Anemophily is again the process. Phily means process. So process of cross pollination by wind is termed as anemophily. Okay, I have missed the examples in the entomophily. All those bright colorful flowers which you can see in nature are coming under the process of entomophilous flower. It could be mustard, it could be sunflower, it could be rose, even it is a lotus. Like lotus is hydrophilic or you can say hydrophilic plant, but it is having pollination by insect. Clear? Now we are having anemophily. Anemophily means pollination by wind, as I told. All dull colored flower like maize, rice, wheat, these plants are having anemophily, where pollination takes place with the help of insect. Pollination takes place by wind. As you have seen in case of the maize, corn cob I'm talking about, they are having male flowers on the upper side and female flowers are on the lower side. So that corn, tassels of the corn, if you have seen, those tassels of the corn which are hanging down as the hair, this is nothing else but the style of the corn cob. So male flowers are present on the upper side. So whenever pollen grains are falling down with the help of air, it is falling down on the stigma itself, and stigma is performing pollen pistil interaction and fertilization. So flower is not to be like very colorful or attractive. Neither fragrance is required, no nectar. So these are the properties of the flower which I have mentioned over here. Let's see the pollen grains. Here again, pollen grains should be large in number, light in weight, and non-sticky. Light in weight because wind is the agent, so that they will travel for the long distance if they are light in weight, and should be non-sticky so that it will not make the bulk or it will not adhere with each other, and remaining in the lightweight for the wind pollination. The stigma is having same property, well exposed and sticky. So these are the properties of the anemophilous flower. Again, you have to focus on the question anemophily or anemophilous. Phylly means process, phyllis means characters of the flower we have to discuss. Next, we are going with the hydrophily. Most of the hydrophilous flower, as I have just discussed, are colorful, beautiful, attractive like lotus, water lily, and water hyacinth also. So these flowers are basically pollinated by insect, even though they are present in the water. These are the aquatic plant and they are supposed to be pollinated by the water, but they are instead pollinated by the insects or sometimes wind also. So suppose if a plant is pollinated by water, one of the submerged plant, dioecious plant I am discussing about, that is termed as Vallisneria. If you remember, this plant is having these kind of leaves whenever suppose this is male plant. So when male plant is mature, it is releasing its pollen grain. Here the male flower is detached from the plant and reaching at the surface of the water. Similarly, we are having the female flower, and female flower is having a kind of a style which is a spring-like. Now, this spring-like style opens up and reaching till stigma, where these anthers or male flowers are pollinating the female flower. And after pollination, this spring-like style comes down and settling down where seed set takes place. So in this dioecious plant, which is Vallisneria, water pollination takes place or hydrophily takes place. As you can see in the diagram, we are having over here ribbon-like leaves. So pollen grains are also ribbon shaped so that easily pollination takes place, and most of the part of the plant which are pollinated by water will be having a cover of mucilage so that it will not be decayed, it will not be dissolved, it will not be had, or you can say it is having the long life so that it will be covered by mucilage. Now, when we talk about the important questions from this particular topic, these are the three major questions which will be repeated in the coming exams also. And if you will see previous year's paper, these three topics are repeated many a times, like what is geitonogamy, why it is like morphologically cross pollination and genetically self pollination, what is clistogamy, give examples, write the features of the entomophilous flower. So these are the three major topics from where you will get questions in the pollination. Hope it is quite clear to you. We will be discussing the board question on this topic in the next class. Thank you.